I want to talk with you about you and help you get to where you're going. Point blank, period. The video you're about to see is likely more authentic than any video you've seen on this platform in about the past week. A couple of buddies of mine and I came up with this process called the value extraction process. Everyone has value to give to the world, but not very many people know exactly what that value is. So what we came up with is here to completely eliminate that problem. Everyone has that burning flame inside of them that wants to give to the world, that wants to take all the challenges that they've been given, overcome them, and continue to live their desired life. But that flame gets put out harshly by society, and we are here to rekindle it. We're here to reinitiate that flame and show you the value you have to give. I've devoted my life to this practice, the selfless act of service of genuinely helping one another break ourselves down so we can build ourselves up. The reality is, probably nobody in your immediate life has time to sit down with you one-on-one and take you through your own life, take you through what you've overcome, help you get to where you're going. They don't have the time to devote to you, not only because they don't devote their lives to such a practice, but they have their own lives going on too. They have their struggles and issues. I'm just a regular guy. My credentials are as shown in the videos that I'm about to post. I've overcome a lot of things in my life, and I want to help others do the same and help them gain a little bit of direction in their life because I've been able to gain a lot in a short amount of time. I want to talk with you about you and help you get to where you're going. Point blank, period. Also, what I'm offering goes way beyond just one process of value extraction. This would be weekly calls and consultations, being able to hit me up whenever, and daily accountability messages directly from me. Things in this service would include helping you break down your limiting beliefs, taking you through reflective dialogue to show you what you've had to overcome to get to this point, talking about the ideas that you have boiling in your mind and how we can alchemize them into reality. For the longest time, I just wanted someone to hold me accountable. For the longest time, I just wanted someone who I felt like was genuinely there to help me out. For the longest time, I just wanted someone who I could genuinely talk about my struggles with and have them offer help, solutions, and a way to go forward. I want to be that person for you. I want to help you in any way that I can. If you're interested in such a service, comment your Instagram handle so I can hit you up personally, or hit me up on Instagram at Cordio. Text me the word value. Another option is you can email me directly at my email here. Send me whatever you want to send me and we will conversate back and forth. This isn't something that I'm putting a direct price on. I want to work with you with whatever your financial situation is. I'm here to help you. It's as simple as that. So please enjoy the following value extraction, and thank you guys for tuning in. Much love. Appreciate it.
It's just something that's going to happen when we delve into these sort of endeavors, regardless of whether they're virtual.
Regardless of even if we're from the same city, like,
yeah.
The point is, I've gained connections all over the United States, seemingly all over the world right now that I could go to anytime that I wanted, dude. And I'm just so blessed to be able to have that. It's like, regardless in person, you tend up meeting people on your same vibration, on your same frequency that are kind of like in the same oriented direction as you are. But the internet, it's no different from man's conscious being brought into a, organized, centralized place. And within that, it's the exact same thing as walking around in the grocery store and meeting that dude you're friends with forever. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Except we actually have communities that we can join that are oriented in that exact direction.
Yeah.
It's easier, dude. Like, I go on Google Maps, I go on freaking Google all the time trying to find like writers groups, trying to find things close to my area.
Yeah.
Especially not having a car, that makes it 10 times more difficult. But it seems hard to find a local group of creatives. But when you have such communities online that are centralized for that reason, it's such a beautiful thing to be able to partake in. So many people use the internet for the negative aspects of life and complain about it. Literally the other day I'm on Instagram, I'm scrolling, I see an ad, it's like, she unfollowed you? And it's like, get this follow tracker to see who's peeping on your account. It's like, y'all using social media for the wrong reasons, man, completely. And I'm glad we're on the right side of that,
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Like, for example, I met my girlfriend online, really. Yeah, I met her on Tinder, like, legit. It's really interesting. But, bro, even from the photos, even before I spoke to her, it's like you can tell just in people's faces and like the way people talk online. You don't have to see them in person to see how they really are. Like, it's just
truth.
I mean, sometimes, yes, if you don't have that one-on-one interaction with that person, if you don't really because us, for example, bro, we've already talked with each other. We've already like
We knocked down that
like
barrier immediately.
yeah. I've already seen the sides of you that can get a little bit like amped up when we disagree about certain things, right? But I've already seen that whole dynamic as to where there's other people. It's not necessarily the fact that you have to meet someone in person, but rather you have to take them through that like that round circle of how they act in certain situations. How do they act when you disagree with them, which is probably the most. That's where you're going to learn the most about someone. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you can do that, then you kind of know the person completely.
Yeah.
And so I met my girlfriend right on Tinder, dude. All I did was see her photos, right? And I just, for some reason, I got a good vibe about her just from the photos, just the way she smiled and everything. And then in person, obviously, even through text messages, and then in person, it was like, okay, yeah. So to some extent, there was like an expectation there, and it was fulfilled. And it's not surprising because we had already gone through a dynamic of conversations, getting to know each other, and then obviously in person, it's really not that different. I mean, the communication method that we have at our disposal with the internet is really does a good job of really demonstrating to someone.
I feel like there is one big difference that is significant though.
Yeah.
When in person, you can have like 80% of conversation be nonverbal.
Yeah.
But every time you're online, I mean, y'all aren't gonna just get what each other is thinking exactly from a conversation from just conversating. It is likely to happen if y'all do match that tone, if y'all do match that wave of thought, which is completely possible. I mean, these thoughts and ideas have been in man since long before you and I were born. But within that, it's like, I don't even have to talk to my girl half the time when I'm with her, you know?
Yeah.
There's no boredom between me and her. We'll get on the same breath pattern and just sit there and enjoy the present moment and whatnot. And that does not, it's not seemingly more difficult. That's a lot more difficult to get someone in that kind of vulnerable of a position when you're online. But I feel like we've done really, really good at mitigating that in the community that we've created.
Yeah,
like at least having people who are open enough to do that, and hopefully they're going to lead by example.
Yeah.
And helping other people be open when we bring them on to all the endeavors that we're doing, and not just for proximal development, but in general, like encouraging that openness and putting it all out on the internet is gonna encourage people to do that in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyone who sees it.
It's a good requirement for a group as well, because I mean, you want to know who someone truly is, bro. Like, and there's a lot of, it's so easy to create the issue is it's so easy to create a persona out there.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, exactly.
In our last community.
Yeah, man. And so that's about one of the only things I would say that, you know, and that's precisely why I think we ask such deep questions. And all the conversations we've gotten into are deeper than conversations that I've had with my friends in person,
right?
Like, by far. And it's funny because the first deepest conversations, not the first, I've had like really, really intense conversations with some friends in person too. Man, I'd love if you could have met Mina. But regardless, I think this was like one of like the conversations that we had online, dude. The conversation with all four of us, dude, was so deep.
It was intense.
It was like, wow, that's crazy. I've never had.
Couldn't imagine have gotten that online, like whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is, we're a living example.
Yeah,
we're a walking testament of
that. And that's just that just goes to show. Okay, look, I've just created a group, an environment, a circle of friends, essentially, better than that can produce better conversations, at least, than the conversations that I have with the friends that I know on like, in person.
With the friends that you've known for a long ass time.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys are serious about this. This is another thing, obviously. I think then we can find out what we're made of based on the endeavors that we all pursue, you know,
which is all completely different. And that's what I love about it the most. We
have different aspects, but look, you guys, and especially something that I appreciate so much is that the whole team is just, you know, taking initiative. They're serious about this. And I like that because that's another really good aspect, is that accountability, that you know, people just take things seriously, man, because obviously we can delve into these intellectual pursuits and whatever, but if we don't take them seriously, then what
we're not doing anything. We're mentally masturbating at that point. And I'm so glad to have found a group of dudes who is not trying to mental masturbate like we have been for the past however long. We're all pretty intellectual individuals, as we all agreed on certain breaking points, but even just bringing this into a more general scope, like zooming out to see what this conversation can bring value to within the world rather than only within our community. It's like there's so many fundamental principles that we've touched on that we have prioritized together
Yeah.
that can help pierce the people's minds through all over the world.
Yeah.
Like, just the fact that we've found each of our strengths
Yeah.
and which of us is going to be better in each domain.
Amazing.
When you have a group of people that come together, that's what a mastermind is about.
Yep. And it's funny because most people don't even do that for themselves.
Nope.
Like,
let alone a community they're creating.
Yeah.
Let alone to help the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, imagine you do that within a family unit.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how much gets done at that point.
Absolutely.
And we live in a society that takes us away from those fundamental principles.
100%, dude. Things flow so much smoother that way. I have the confidence to delegate things when I understand my weaknesses and other people's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's precisely what it is. I know my strengths. I know what I should be doing, and that's why I have no problem delegating certain things nowadays. Like, not just you, right? I'm also, delegating certain things for other endeavors that I have going on. So it's and the reason why is because I have that trust in people, and I see people's strengths. And dude, whenever we get together collectively, like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I have confidence in what we're doing is because of you guys. And yes, as you know, I'm someone who's like really open to considering where I'm wrong, where I'm right. I think it's a strength that I've built over time.
Right. It's a skill.
Put myself to
most
the test.
Definitely.
Yeah. And something that I put myself to the test. I've had to apologize in front of multiple people for being wrong, for being mistaken, right? And so over time, and I've realized that's usually the best approach. And I've been even complimented for that so many times that I was like, well, if I do that with my team, if I'm comprehensive with people, we can get so much stuff done. And that's when that ability to be comprehensive allows you to just observe things, because that's what reality is. I think it's funny because we have our own, we come into everything with like our preconceived notions.
Yeah, we come to it with ego.
Yeah, exactly. Because ego is essentially, it's functional for
it's just
our
what
lives.
we built. We need it.
Yeah,
but
we need it. But
we need to mitigate the healthiness versus what's killing us. What's keeping us apart.
Yep, 100%. I think people overexert their ego into things that they shouldn't even care about. It's funny how someone will like defend an ideology with their life. It's like, the only things I care about are my family, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you insult my girlfriend, obviously, yeah, I'm gonna. But if you insult something like, oh, your car looks so, I'm like, oh, well, that's his opinion. Like, I don't even care.
Most definitely.
So we overexert ourselves so much when we have to do quite the opposite. We have to be comprehensive and understand where people are coming from. And that's when you acknowledge the strengths of other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you can acknowledge what's within you. And that's, as someone, like, as the founders, dude, I think that's why I've been able to trust you guys to handle this, because I'm comprehensive with you guys. And that comprehensive isn't just me being like, oh yeah, I'm allowing, because I'm also going to be firm in certain things that I believe in, because I understand my strength, right? I understand like the vision that I have for this, and I'm still like very clear. But I can delegate things, I can make things happen. We can all make things happen when we have that mentality and we understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, and then just be comprehensive with yourself as much as you are into the world. And so that's going to build huge things, dude.
That principle in and of itself is so important to be touched on. I'm gonna do that for a second. It's like,
yeah,
you mentioned how all you really care about is building your family up, but to me, like, my family could be the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know you agree with that too. You want to bring as many people into that unit that helps each other grow as much as possible. We would not be here right now if we prioritized ego. We would not be here right now having such a decent conversation if we decided to only keep our preconceived notions of reality as the main basis of our reality.
Absolutely.
The fact of the matter is, the only thing that truly feels real is what you can reconcile with others. Other than that, it's just the feeling of you getting caught up in your head 24/7. You always are questioning, am I right, am I wrong? But within that questioning, you take it away completely when you meet another man. Because it's like, oh no, I'm not going to let him convince me I'm wrong. Oh no. Oh hell no, I'm a man. The fuck? Yeah. But that's such a foolish position to come from. It's literally the position of the fool. It goes back to that fundamental story of Parsifal, dude. He kept what his mom told him in his head and literally missed the holy grail that was right in front of him because of his subconscious program.
Yeah. And some people can get really far with that. But it's just,
if they have a good subconscious programming.
Yeah.
But if I were to kept with mine, my drug addict family, bro,
dude,
where the hell would I be right now?
That's where your story, when we have to delve into that, because that's extremely interesting. But just, I think the reason why we realized the opportunity is precisely because we came from an environment where that was the expectation, right? Or at least I had that expectation, like in the online community that we were part of. And then we actually saw that, hey, we could use a community actually where precisely this principle is applied, because I realized that that principle wasn't being applied.
And it's hard to be applied in a source centralized community, regardless of what the community is based on. When it is based on one particular person being the source, it's inevitable for that person to not necessarily exert their wrath and ego, but definitely be at night contemplating it. Definitely it gets in their mind when they have such a big group of people coming in just for them, and they get to be convinced that it is just for them. And especially when you have people above and you in the position you're at telling you exactly what to do, rather than masterminding with people who are similar and on your level. And that's when you get down to the question, well, what level am I on? At the end of the day, I feel like whoever I can reconcile with and know will bring me a strong pillar to the tables and to the foundations that I'm trying to create, not only with a company, not only with content, but with my life. I need to be honed in on that specifically. And anytime these things are created and it is source centralized, like I'm saying, going back to, it takes away from that true aspect of connection that we're really, really striving for. The whole reason anyone will want to join is to be able to connect with like-minded individuals. But that gets harshly mitigated when the calls are a question and answer on one person's specific mentality. For example, one of the communities I'm in, there's a girl named Messiah. She leads some of the calls on Zoom, right? We like to talk about holistic health and wellness within there, but you know how she starts the phone calls? What did you guys learn this week that helped you out in your endeavors? And I'm like, yo, that is the most beautiful way you could introduce a call to a group full of people, because you're not overexerting ego whatsoever. Even if you do have an ego in there, one that even might be a little bit unhealthy, it's how you act. It's how you observe that and mitigate it and go towards the proper goal, which is all of us thriving, not having to be in a survival state.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And, you know, I think we've done that quite successfully, dude. And that's why I think it's the foundation of the group, because we understand how it can go wrong, and we can understand how it can go right. And that's why I think we have so much potential. That's why the group is growing itself, is precisely because of that principle. And in contrast to the other calls we used to have, you know, when we were part of the other community, it was 70% dialogue from one individual. And that was like, okay, well, what do I have to contribute, right?
Why am I here? Just to learn what this guy has to say?
Yeah,
even though he hasn't developed nearly as much as he could?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the worst thing is when you realize there's a difference between the persona. It's like, okay, well, there's some ulterior motive possibly behind this. No, I mean, at the end of the day, the best thing that we've been able to acquire, dude, is just we're all participating. We're all giving our equal parts, and that's why I love when we had that call with all four of us. I even like analyzed who was speaking. Obviously, maybe someone speaks a little bit more than the others because they can contribute better, right, to the conversation. But dude, we were all in there. We were all giving feedback. We weren't interrupting each other. We were genuinely. It wasn't like, oh, wait on your turn or wait on your. No, it was like,
not at all.
We all were just putting in the pieces. You contribute here, you contribute here, and then we just built up this amazing conversation where that I walked away with literally understanding that was probably much better than any YouTube video, any lesson, any lecture that I had watched. I could watch 30 lectures, right? That would be equivalent to just that one conversation.
Exactly,
right? Because
bro.
we actively got to see how our ideas can interact. Like, this is the process of wisdom. This is you applying what you've learned in the world and seeing how it can coincide with everyone else. That's essentially what you're doing with the knowledge you have in your head, right? Is for it to turn into wisdom, you have to see how it applies to the world. You have to see what arguments it stands against. Can it support? Does it go against? That sort of thing. And so conversations, dude, and the conversations that we have the potential to have when we're all listened to, that's one of the things that I'm so excited about. Seriously.
Dude, any community that anyone could create that is based in learning is the entire goal for all of mankind, because anyone who really convinces themselves that they're done learning, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Are you the Messiah? Were you put here to give us all the knowledge that was everything? Are you God? I don't believe so, man. You're a man just like me.
Exactly.
Right? And it's not even in a sense it's like someone who was there to give their knowledge strictly is acting like God in a sense. I don't even mean it like that. Like anyone who would be to exert themselves in that manner.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to get caught up in that mind state for that person who is the source. It's so easy for the people who gain a following to genuinely act as if though they're the only thing that can help that following get to where they need to be. No, man. The fact of the matter is you're bringing people together that are like-minded within that state. They can help each other the entire time. And when that is only practiced within like a text group or like a Reddit, a subreddit, it feels like, and not even just a centralized hardcore based on the community that we were in, because I've been in so many communities that are similar like this, you get nowhere near as much value from that, from texting people, from being in those large groups, as you would from active conversation, just like we had spoke about.
Absolutely, dude. That's fundamentally what this is all about too. Just because I want every individual to have a conversation with us, bro. So like this interview is, just indicative of that. But I want everyone to be interviewed, bro. I want to get a conversation out of everyone, because that's where we can extract the most values and see what they're made of, and we can extract the value, and like you said, they might not even know they have it within them.
That's the whole point.
And so the issue is that, you say, what's something you say, principalities that govern,
Oh, my little, yeah, I appreciate you for pointing that, man. Hell yeah. So we only suffer when we wrestle with the principles that govern ourselves. But when we step outside of ourselves and do selfless acts of service is the only time we're truly fulfilled in this life.
Yeah.
It's like, think about it like this. What brought Christ consciousness? What brought the fulfillment of Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially he bared man's suffering as his own.
Yeah.
And he decided to only act from a place of love, right?
Yeah.
So that's literally him stepping outside of any experience that ever tainted him, any experience that ever gave him trauma, any experience that ever hurt him, and expressing the true light that he had within to genuinely evoke a smile, to genuinely show someone love. And within that, that's all I've been doing in these past few weeks. That's been my main goal in life. Not only to live in the emulation of Christ, but to spread as much love and light as I can upon the world full of darkness. And within that, the only thing that is able to keep me sheer and certain as a person, the only thing that lets me wake up and be like, oh, we got something to do, we got a purpose to be exerting, is the results that I gain from those selfless acts of service.
Yeah.
I can promise anybody in the world that is the only thing that will fulfill you. You're going to keep constantly suffering and struggling if you are only working on something that's there to benefit you. Like when I first created my YouTube channel, right? The main sentiment is, okay, I'm spreading the knowledge that helped me to help other people, right?
Absolutely.
But it doesn't end up becoming that when you get caught up in your head. It doesn't end up becoming that when you're not actively conversating with people all over the world, rather just talking to a camera and rewatching yourself.
Yeah.
It then becomes, how can I make money off of this? Instead of, okay, let's genuinely use this to help people. Get in that flow state that's genuinely going to bring someone to the light that not only I've been able to see, but just overcome the negative aspects of my life that were tainting me for so long, man. So stepping outside of ourselves is the main pillar. One of my main pillars that one of the main pillars that I can definitely bring to the table in any conversation. I've always been able to observe and notice when someone is acting from a place of trying to gain their desire rather than what is genuinely best to help the entire group at hand thrive.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, that's quality that, like I'm aware that you have that, and that's, precisely why, and you as well. That's precisely why I think we're going to work great together, man, for this. So absolutely. And going back to that though, your background, dude, I want to hear a little bit about that, if you can share.
Dude, ask me some specifics, man. I mean,
how it is
if
that
you ask just one thing, I can go on a rant. You know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about how exactly it is that you became aware that wasn't the right thing. Like, how was, I'm sure you were made aware because of how much it hurt you, perhaps, some of the things, and some of the sentiments, some of the principalities, I guess you could say,
the things to really focus
your household were not healthy, for you. And how did you go about to distinguish, one, that they were so wrong, distinguish which acts were wrong, and then take a 180 and just determine what.
How
was
was I
right.
really able to get discernment?
Yeah, exactly.
How was I really able to see clearly
because
for
that's
what was
impressive.
going
When
on?
you grow up in a household like that, like the discernment is something
It's difficult to gain.
it's probably one of the most difficult things, and people think, people just think that it's easy. It's not.
And the fact that I'm 18 founding my own company when my dad literally looked at me and said, "You think you're gonna own all these businesses?
Yeah,
You think you're gonna
absolutely.
be this rich motherfucker? What money do you come from?"
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
just really goes to show the mentalities that I've been coming from.
Yeah.
And well, first of all, I start every time, this might not be the right answer, but I like to give homage where it's due, right? Thank God for the internet. And I say that in a way that's like, yo, some of these videos brought certain things to my attention that likely would not have come so clearly within my sense of awareness if I didn't straight up see it online.
Yeah,
Then again,
absolutely, dude.
what you seek, you shall find. So obviously I was yearning for something specific and it came right in front of me. Something better than what I had prior. Like, you know how 3/4 of the people in Jordan Peterson's comments are straight up the father of our time, the father we never had.
Yeah.
It's like because we're genuinely yearning for those archetypes that weren't fulfilled when we were younger.
Yeah, absolutely.
And within that, I spent a lot of time searching through content. I spent a lot of time watching lectures, specifically oriented in the direction of, okay, what's genuinely healthy for people and what's not.
Yeah.
And obviously, I had to be the captain of my own ship. I had to, first of all, search for those things.
Yeah.
Second of all, understand them and digest them and begin to apply them.
Mhm.
That process, I will give myself credit for. I do truly think I had it within me, right? I've always been a very charismatic person. Even teachers that I've had in junior high, they were like, "You've got it." And I didn't necessarily know what they were talking about. They literally used to call it the it factor. I used to have like three, 4 teachers that were very, very giving to me in that sense. Even though I was one of the most rambunctious childs that could have ever existed, causing disruption, they knew I had that charisma in me. And they attempted their best to poke at me and help me lean into it, right? So I'm grateful to have been in the groups of people that I eventually went into. But regardless, I would say, let me just think for a second. The only way you can go from rock bottom is up, right?
Yeah.
Like there is no going farther. Yeah. Some people like to argue in a Minecraft sense, can you dig past bedrock? It depends on if you're on Pocket Edition or not. Yeah. But regardless, that's a dumb way to compare it. There is always a surface level that you hit.
Yeah.
And you literally have nowhere to go besides propelling up. I hit that surface level really, really soon in my life, man.
Yeah.
Way sooner than most people are able to. I hit that rock bottom at like 14, at like 15. And you adopt the mindset of the people that you're around, right? We how do you say, we absorb our environments, we adapt to them.
Yeah.
My dad is probably one of the most lustful people I've ever known in my life up until recently. He's put down a lot of the drugs that he's been on, devoted himself to one woman. Very proud of you for that, Pops, if you're watching. Awesome. But him having that mind state, him telling me men and women can't be friends because one of them's always going to want to fornicate with each other at 13 years old. You don't want to tell that to someone going into 7th grade.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when I went into that with that mind state, being a decent looking person, being someone who's always had charisma, what do you think I used that charisma for when I had the chance?
Yeah.
I went ahead in my mind, okay, wait, they're my friend. That obviously means they want me. Let me go ahead and poke at this and see if it works. I poked at it as many times as I could. I was completely consumed by demons when I was a little boy. I've been addicted to porn since 7, all the way until 17. 10 years of porn addiction, I'm only an 18-year-old man. Yeah. So I think I really look at it from a sense of how much my parents didn't hide from me, right? So even though they were fucked up, excuse my French, even though they were messed up people, they did not have a problem displaying it, right? And that's because they straight up weren't aware of what they were displaying. Like my mom was never Superwoman, my dad was never Superman, and they never displayed themselves as such. They were some of the most vulnerable people in the world, probably because they were on drugs that made them completely emotional. But regardless, I got to see everything for what it was. I wasn't subject to not being able to see bad movies. I wasn't subject to not being able to see anything, really. I was given an iPad with access to the internet at 7 years old. What do you think I did with that, boy? Ooh, Friends at school making the little hand gesture. Oh, what's that mean? You know, you're susceptible to these things at such a young age in the generation that we grow up in. It's no surprise people are developing at the level that they are. Because, man, going back to that lust, that mindset that I created, dude, I had sexual relations with too many girls at a way too young of an age, man.
Yeah.
And that has been one of the main pillars back before I treated women sacredly. That showing me what I was really doing, not only putting myself in a mind state where I would degrade them, but also in a mind state where when you do that, you're degrading yourself.
Yeah.
Realizing how harshly I was treating my temple. But before I realized it, life threw me for a complete 360, bro. If you want to know my real Fisher King wound, the real thing that showed me, man, you really have to pay the utmost attention of how you display yourself in this life, or else it will always come back to you in the way in which you do display it. And if you're not making sure that it's completely curated to the positive, you're going to see negativity all around you. You're going to live and soak in demons. You're going to live in that negativity.
Yeah.
Within that, I wasn't caring, bro. I was trying to have sex with one girl and then her best friend. I was trying to date one girl's best friend and then try to have sex with the other one. Not necessarily wouldn't cheat on anybody if I was in a relationship, right? But constantly trying to gain those sexual relationships at such a young age with as many girls as I could, right? And within that, dude, it was the most flawed thing you can do. I mean, imagine going after a girl and then her best friend. Like, how much are they going to talk about you, right? Within that, a consensus was built around my name that was the complete opposite of what I ever wanted it to be. I became my own worst enemy in a sense that so many people at my school viewed me as terms that even went as deep as the word rapist. Simply because, of course, things get lost in translation. I mean, you play one game of telephone, tell me how that doesn't translate to the fact that things can get screwed up if you aren't able to sit there and genuinely give your side of things. But this was all around the time of COVID, where we were going hybrid in and out of school.
Yeah.
And like how do I put this? I never wanted to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
I never did hurt anybody to that deep of a level that my name was tainted towards. But I got exactly what I had coming to me because of my lack of care.
Yeah.
The fact that I would have taken a girl's virginity regardless of how it was going to treat her mind. The fact that I probably knew deep down me doing that and giving no fucks afterwards was probably going to taint her for the rest of her life.
Absolutely, dude.
I didn't care about that. I didn't bring it to awareness. I was a player. I was a pimp at the time, right? But I would literally show off the wins that I got to the football homies in the locker room. Like, hey, man, look what I got on my phone. Hey, man, look who sent me pictures the other night. All selfish. Using the gift that God gave me to bring demons into light.
Yeah.
And to help people dwell in darkness. Of course, I've always been that person that people could call when things went south. I've always been that person that's like, dang, your words really helped me. I've always had that skill to hone in on. Regardless, though, when I got the chance to use it for evil, to use it for my own fleshly desires, I definitely took that chance. And all that building up that I just said was a genuine process of built up tension. That it's the energy you give out is the energy you receive right back, man. So if I'm giving out careless energy, no one's gonna care about me. And that's exactly what I got shown.
Yeah.
And literally had to move to a completely new district of schools. Literally had to go on a completely new path of life. All the friends that I thought I had, they didn't want to speak to me no more.
Yeah.
Because they were worried about what mass consensus thought. Even though it was a completely false narrative, I still have to go back and say and come to the reality of the situation. That wouldn't even have the chance to happen if I wasn't displaying myself in a way that was careless, thoughtless, and run by his fleshly desires.
Yeah.
It would never have happened if I was always that pure light. But we have to go through these things to learn how they treat us and to learn from them. So glad all that happened. So the main girl that spread that rumor, who was the student council president of the school, so I was kind of screwed from the get-go. But to her, I love that girl. I love that girl. You know why?
Why?
She showed me everything I was doing wrong. She showed me everything I was doing to hurt myself indirectly. Okay? Of course, she's made videos mentioning my name, completely tainting it.
Yeah.
Completely tainting it to the fundamental core, right?
Yeah.
But I thank her every day. Without that experience, without her doing that to me.
Yeah, that's what allowed you for the discernment.
It's what allowed me for that discernment. It's what allowed me to say, I can't adopt my dad's mindset. I can't have friends with benefits.
Before that, would you view that, before that happened, did you think that the principalities that govern your household, did you ever question them, or was it until your own experience came in?
I questioned them in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I questioned them in the fact that, okay, I probably shouldn't do the drugs that they're on.
Yeah.
Okay, my dad's kind of gotten married a few times to some crazy women.
Yeah.
And I've had like a couple sets of step families. Maybe I'm never going to let my kids experience that.
Yeah.
But then again, you're young. You're like, okay, let me get it all over with now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have my fun now. But it's not fun. It is genuine. It is genuinely disgusting to treat yourself and others like that. It hurts me still that I was ever that person. But the mistake that is forgivable, but the mistake that is, what's the word that I'm looking for here? The mistake forgivable in a child is unforgivable in a man.
Yeah.
And I'm a man.
Yep.
There is no reason for me to not shed the light of discernment that I do have. I can genuinely observe now what increases the quality of my life and people around it, rather than dispelling the energy that I was gifted by God for nothing but a material pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed to have been able to see that. So yeah, maybe it was in the back of my mind. Maybe the thoughts did arise in certain areas, but I had to go through those big hitting moments to let me see, oh, that means 3/4 of their mind state in general is what's keeping them bound and stuck.
Absolutely.
Because even if they had that 1/4 or half of a mind state that was positive, it eventually would have showed them a way out. And they are still stuck in a lot of those patterns. Thank God both my parents are sober people. Thank God my dad's been off drugs for 4 years. Wow. Hallelujah. And clap. Congratulations, truly. I can't wait to be able to platform him and talk with him about that experience once my name becomes more credible.
How did they come aware of that? Was it because of you, or was it because of their own realization? Did that help you in making that?
I think it's a grand total between me and just how it was affecting them. You know, once again, the only way up. Yeah. The only way from rock bottom is up.
Yeah.
So
just the energies that you're putting out there got
to be completely honest,
with the family, I guess.
In regards to my mother,
yeah,
I will give myself a lot of credit.
Mm-hmm.
I was only in 6th grade when all that stuff went down with my dad. He hit rock bottom. He went to jail for a week, lost all his prescriptions, came back. He thought he was going to have a seizure and die in there. He didn't sleep that whole week that he went to jail. First time he ever went to jail in his life. And it was because his girlfriend called the cops on him. They were cheating back and forth on each other. He tried to take her phone because she was texting some dude on a dating app. She broke his hand and he threw her on the ground. And cops came. They said, hey, did she do that to your hand? If so, we'll take her too. He said, nah, I punched the wall. So he went to jail himself. He went through that experience, hit true rock bottom. He said to himself, I'm never taking these damn things again. Came home, didn't take them. Took a quarter of a Klonopin, seizure medication pills, or seizure mediation, but they can make someone feel really loopy if they don't have that problem within them, that deficiency.
Yep.
But he felt how that was, and he was like, man, I'm never doing this again. It didn't take much of me. Probably him realizing that he did have a son to take care of was a lot of it.
Yeah.
But regardless, a lot of that had to do with his own journey in life. Yeah. My dad has really been on his own journey, not necessarily mine.
Yeah.
He hasn't necessarily been a big pushing factor in mine in at least the years that I was a teenager because of how much he was struggling with internally. And I'll never, ever hold resentment against him for that. All forgiveness and all love for me, as long as I'm here to be able to grow and experience good times with my dad now, is really all that matters. But with my mom, she's been in a sticky situation for a long time with my stepdad. Even though they might both be watching this one day, they both know that they've been constantly repeating things that have not really brought them any good.
Yeah.
And not even just showing like the fault in the relationship to my mom, but the fault in her own actions. I started reading more. I read David Goggins' book Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah, awesome.
My mom wanted to read it right after I did because I told her how much it was, how good it was. The second I started working out every day and eating healthier, my mom started working out every day. It took her a minute to get on the organic foods, but since she saw I was non-negotiable about it for me, I'll open the cabinet, see what they have in there at home, like close it. She sees that stuff. She picks up on it.
Yeah, of course.
So I've shed my light directly to her. And my mom is in 10 times of a better position than she's ever been in her life. And I can give myself credit for that completely. Because
seriously, congrats
because of prioritizing what I know was right and not being shy and afraid to tell my mom about it has genuinely not only helped our relationship so much, but I know it's going to help the way she goes about life in general.
Absolutely. Here's what I'm curious about. So amazing, bro. Seriously, that you were able to make that discernment because you found, rock bottom. But then, how did you live with yourself? And I think we've discussed the concept of self-love, right? Which I'll admit, dude, I was extremely. I have my stigmas around the idea because of the people that I've seen, possibly talking about it, and it's like a very woo-woo hippie concept to me, sort of. But you opened my eyes up one day to the fact that self-love is actually, possibly, it's much more than we think it is. Self-love is,
I think it's most
and especially, and especially, we think of love from a very, maternal, very, compassionate, self-love, right? That's what we think. But self-love is fatherly. Self-love is also discipline. Self-love is harsh. I mean, love is harsh in general. Love from a father is extremely harsh, bro. And there's definitely a difference between that motherly love that's passionate, that I think we have a lot of in the world, but it's not necessarily good. But there's not a lot of that fatherly love that really
putting yourself in check.
Yeah, exactly.
Putting your son in check.
Absolutely. But it's so important. And what I want to ask is like how understanding, and perhaps forgiveness is a fundamental part of love. But
it isn't, perhaps, brother.
How did you come to terms with yourself after realizing, making that discernment, reaching rock bottom, and realizing not only everything that I've done is bad, but also everything that my parents have been doing is just awful. Like how do I live with myself? So, and I know you still struggle with that to some extent, but
of course, brother.
How have you been able to incorporate that self-love, man? Because I still see it in you. You still need more of it, bro. Because I feel like you're not even aware of your potential and everything. Still, you're still unraveling it. Of course, hopefully this community is going to help you realize that a lot. I think it would definitely.
And the fact that I'm doing any of this that I am now, I'm a volunteer fireman while working a 9-to-5 and creating a community.
Yeah.
Let's just say I've propelled a lot, and that only came from prioritizing self-love.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that I'll be walking into the gas station sometimes and I'll hear on repeat and echo, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Or I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself.
Yeah.
It's still there. It's not something, Andrew Tate, freaking, blanket clear your mind. No.
Yeah.
You're not going to get rid of those years worth of torment that was in my brain. It is an actual mold that you have to break and step into a new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, once again, thank God for the internet showing me that the subconscious is real, books showing me that the subconscious is real, and everything that was ever put into me is what turned me into who I am, and I have the opportunity to accept or reject that within my conscious mind. So elevating levels of consciousness in general through practices like meditation is definitely one thing that I want to accredit, but that's something you would hear all across the internet. That's something you would hear anybody say, like, yeah, even though it seems like a repeated topic, it's because it's true. It's a fundamental core. That I wouldn't be right here. The whole point of it is awareness. Becoming aware of those thoughts and impulses that come into your psyche and not having to accept them, not having to identify with them.
Yeah.
So within that, luckily I had a grandmother who was really into Buddhism. And she brought me through a lot of practices when I would tell her about the things that I did that I considered wrong. She would help me realize that that's not me. She would help me realize like what I could really do to Get rid of that.
Yeah.
Within that, it's like, I'm just trying to figure out how to formulate this.
Well, how did you, because how did you actually, I'm sure you had recognized at that point that what you had done, you probably like were really regretting and everything, but like,
and just all the times that I jerked off to pornography too, like
yeah,
so many things piled up, dude. So many.
But, love is also it takes an effort to come from a place of love, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because
a conscious effort.
Because you'll let yourself go, like you said, and especially luckily it happened at a much younger age, dude, because I think some of the ramifications, some things that you did would have affected you,
way worse as an adult.
Absolutely. And especially in a country, where we're so overly strict and just it's so easy to ruin people's careers.
That's why I never came from that perspective.
Right?
Oh, that bitch lied about my name. No, bro, I gotta understand that never would have happened if I didn't display myself in such a manner.
Yeah, and it's great you got, it's not great, but it happened.
I'm grateful for it every day.
It's great. You got to be grateful that it happened to you much earlier than it would have. And that's going to allow you to make realizations and mature much faster than other people. But like that was, I guess, it must have taken, I'm sure, a conscious effort to, like you said, step into that new mold.
I think what it is conscious effort, and I can harp in on that.
Yeah.
It's, bro, I just now am really genuinely getting rid of the forces that binded me for so long. I'm really genuinely getting rid of the morally reprehensible actions that I kept repeating. Artificial forms of dopamine is really a general way to encompass it all.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to get specific because there might be people watching this in the future who I don't necessarily want to know everything about my teenage life. But within that, it's... man, you got to look at the story of Christ, man. I hate to get so freaking general about it, and that's not even necessarily what brought me there.
Yeah.
But it's a fundament for a reason. It transcends time for a reason. It pierces in us for a reason. And that reason is that we all know the only way we're going to become genuinely, I would say the word enlightened, but just okay with ourselves is through conscious effort.
Yeah.
Is through not even necessarily trying so hard, right? Not even necessarily trying, but letting go. It takes conscious effort to let go.
Absolutely, dude.
That's what takes the most conscious effort.
Yep.
When you're trying, you're half conscious. When you're trying to control everything so much, man.
Yeah.
So letting go, bro, I had so much tension in my body and in my mind and my heart and my soul. It was like a rubber band.
Yeah.
But when you let go of that rubber band, it's the only time you get to soar. You genuinely have to know that loving is letting go. I love all those things that I went through because I know I don't have to identify with them.
Yeah.
And stepping out of self-hatred, which I've been in for a long time, and stepping into self-love. Shoot, man, that's the only thing that really allows me to give those selfless acts of service like we talked about from the get-go.
Yeah.
Bro, it's like sometimes I'll go talk to a person, shed my light on them, and I'll still have those thoughts afterwards. It's like, who are you? Who the hell do you think you are doing this?
Yeah.
That person doesn't give a shit about you. You're nobody. You hate yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And I have to consciously choose to either say out loud or think over that thought, no, I don't accept this. It's not me. I know the potential I have, and I'm going to harness it. And the fact of the matter is, nobody wants to admit it, but we've all been there. We've all been there. Maybe not to as deep of a root as some others, but that self-hatred, that not believing in ourselves, the limited beliefs, we've all struggled with it. And everyone is so afraid to break it down to its fundamental core. But the only way out is in. The truest act of courage you could ever enact. We know doing the hard things is what increases the will to live.
Yeah.
But we don't want to do the hardest thing. Overcome the internal struggles. Overcome the internal struggles that genuinely keep us down.
Yeah.
Literally, bro. Like, Ever since I've been prioritizing this, knowing that I have love and light to give, getting out of caught up within myself. Literally 3 days ago, I had a coworker come up to me. He said this out loud, not necessarily to me, but I went up to him when he said it. He tried to commit suicide for that.
Yeah.
And he's a 25-year-old man.
Yeah.
I went up deep to him. I went up close to him. I said, how are you going to do that to me? Every day, every time I see him come from a place of hurt, I always help him acknowledge it. He's literally acknowledged the fact that I've helped him through certain things, right? I said, how are you going to do that to me? How are you going to do that to Jamie? How are you going to do that to our entire crew? How are you going to do that to everyone in the world who loves you and has tried to make you see the light that you have within, dude? You're always complaining. You're always saying you're the person who's been through the most shit. How do you not see that you having the person been through the most shit is what means you have the most love to give in the world? Probably more than most of us.
Yeah.
Because you have the ability to overcome it. I started getting passionate and angry. I started, not necessarily angry, more passionate. Like,
yeah.
I grabbed him by his shirt. I was like, you have 10 times more love to give than any of this darkness would ever give you. I looked at him dead in his eyes. I'm like, you have to get out of your head.
Yeah.
You have to stop identifying with these thoughts. He got defensive. He wanted to walk away. I didn't let him. You know what I did, Michael? I gave that grown man the deepest hug he's probably ever gotten in his life.
Yeah.
He bawled on my shoulder.
Yeah, dude.
All that pent up shit, he let go. And I brought him straight out of that darkness.
Yeah.
It was in front of our whole team. He didn't care. I didn't care. I wasn't going to let him go until I knew that it was relieved. Just a little bit. And then we started getting into a conversation later. He started crying again. I gave him another hug. I said, dude, this is the strongest thing you could ever do right now, is be this vulnerable, is show the true parts of yourself that are keeping you down to others. Yeah. Because we can reconcile with them, no matter how much you believe that we can't. This is not weakness. You crying right now is not weakness. It needed to happen. And it was the strongest thing you ever could have done, is genuinely let go. And that's not coming from a place of feminine. That's not coming from a place that's bitch made. I am a fucking man. And anybody who tries to step across me and hurt my family will see the worst end of that stick.
Yeah.
But regardless, we need to stop getting so caught up in our ego. We need to let go and understand, the only reason you do struggle is because you're not okay with yourself.
Yeah.
When I told him that's the strongest act of courage, he hugged me deep. I wanted him to say, sorry for my profanity, I'm strong as fuck. And I made him say it 8 times.
Yeah.
I'm strong as fuck.
Yeah.
And get deeper within it every time.
Yeah.
Because those are the things that genuinely help people.
Yeah.
But nobody's willing to step outside of themselves enough to do those acts.
Yeah.
And the second I realized all I ever had to give was love, I started crying after that conversation a little bit, bro. Damn. After all the years of questioning, I was really put here for a reason.
Yeah, dude.
To even bring one person out of that state.
Yeah, dude.
To even have a few people in my life in the past who have called me and said, Rain, you saved my life.
Yeah.
Rain, your words helped me so much. You have no idea. To take that for granted would be a spit in God's face. Regardless of how you view God, as the heightened collective level of consciousness or as a man in the sky, you're spitting on him directly. When you do that shit.
Yeah, absolutely not.
When you let the hatred consume you, rather than leading your life where you know you want it to be. Which is all from a place of love. And if you ever convince yourself that it's anything different, you're leading a lie. You're leading a lie. That's all we've ever wanted. That's the only reason we all struggle. That's the only reason war happens. Is because one group of people thinks they have a better certain light of love than the others. Or maybe even some people at the highest places of the material realm. In the Bible it says the devil controls the material. Some of those people know that they'll never find that love. Because how deep they are within the darkness.
Yeah.
You know that.
Perfect. What do you mean?
I put it on the ground.
There we go.
That's perfect. Because of how deep they are within the darkness.
Yeah.
They accept it. They accept the darkness and start to act from it. oh, this is my life now, debauchery, right? Thank God I never got caught up in that. And some of these secret societies that rule the world, I don't even want to go in to those, because anybody who's watching that from that perspective is lost. We're here to help save the people who aren't. Maybe they're on the verge. Maybe they're about to be. But we can take them out of it. Bro, I couldn't see my life any other way after doing those things.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Speaking every day. Doing acts every day that bring people out of darkness. The only purpose I could ever attain. Screw the interview questions. You got me already at my deepest fundament, bro.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go through that. I think, what am I most afraid of? What am I most afraid of is acting from that place of lowness.
Yeah.
Is letting my lowly desires consume me rather than choosing where I get to go in this life. Is letting someone convince me that I should act on that desire. Letting someone convince me of something I know isn't true deep down. How do I mitigate it? Certainty. I've been able to observe what helps people around me, what helps myself. I've been able to see it for what it is. If I don't act from that state, who the hell am I?
Yeah.
Someone who's going to die and be forgotten. Who never acted for anything good for anyone.
Yeah.
It's not me. My name literally means not to get pretentious on anybody, but you're given these things for a reason. Christ-bearing King, heart of God. And I spit on that temple for so long.
Yeah.
Not only that, everyone spits on that temple, man. I'll cry at how much pain the world goes through. I've spent time doing it.
Yeah.
But that's what really showed me that I have the ability to bear the suffering of man as my own and always act from a place of love. I don't have to be consumed. I can walk with faith and pick where I go in the moment. Because all we have is the eternal now. And getting caught up in what you came from, getting caught up in what's to come. All falsehoods, all false lights, they're not in front of you now. What's in front of you now is the only thing that matters. That realization led me to the person I am, led me to prioritize that connection. The whole reason I would ever want to create a company based in the true connection and development of people. The only reason I would connect with you on that was we both had that same similar goal, no matter how we got it, which I can't wait to ask you how you got there. Genuinely. But creating that community together, bro, I want to get into how you got to that position because I know it's completely different from mine. Maybe have some similar fundaments, but regardless, it's amazing to touch on those things with people. But nothing in my life would ever have me yearning so bad to bring people together if I didn't feel like I was casted so far apart at some point in my life.
Yeah.
There's no light without dark, man.
Absolutely, man. That's great. That's all I can say. Is I personally, as well, I like to, man, I think the reason why I mentioned that this community, like, obviously, we both co-founded this, but to some extent, like, I really see that this is potentially really big for you, possibly even more than it is for me, because, and obviously, there's certain things that I don't want the community to veer too much into, and I'm here to ensure that because I feel like I've been able to be extremely practical. I feel like there's some things that I can teach everyone, etiquette, and even some of the things that I'd like to contribute. I think I actually address particularly that situation, right? For example, the way I'm dressed, dude, I literally dress like this quite often because, like, I just have more self-respect. Self-respect is a huge thing, and
professional orientation. I gotta have it when you're trying to exert yourself.
Like, even the way I talk, I try to refine a lot of my speech and certain things that I say. I want to say everything with intention, everything really clearly, not use curse words. I think that just doesn't so unprofessional. Like, so at the end of the day, I think talking to yourself, and just talking in general in a way that you would talk to someone that you you much respect, I think was a huge fundamental component of what I want to incorporate as well. And that comes with like a lot of professional, very practical things that are going to help us all in general, you know. And so
helping people get to that point where they can display themselves that way,
exactly,
or pushing them in the direction to know that they should. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people that come on here are gonna not necessarily see the true value in that aspect in and of itself. Yeah. That's why I'm so glad to have you here providing it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I think it's such a good dynamic, and so the things that you have to offer, dude. And I wanted to ask you essentially. I think, like, how do you think that you can offer this into the community? Because, like I said, I see this being a huge thing for you because, essentially, there's a lot of people, I guess, and you speak to perhaps a different audience than I had initially contemplated. However, it's still something that's or to a different issue, a different subject. That's probably deeper than the one that I had intended, and that's perhaps why you see that this is such a big thing, right? And that's also why I like that you're contributing. But how would you say that you're going to incorporate that into the community?
Practically, without just
no, not even practically, just because I think, and the question itself is like the practicality, because of course this is something that works for you, and this is I would consider practical. You know, this is practically the practicality in it is that it helped you get out of your situation, recognize wrong from right, recognize what you should do. Start with the fundamental that we all should do before we even go ahead and delve into
exactly like you had said from the first conversation we had. Yeah, you're going out and telling go do a whole bunch of shit, man.
Yeah,
go do a whole bunch of stuff, and then I'm more saying, okay, everything that you are doing, make sure it aligns with who you are inside.
Yeah,
and I love that dynamic that we have. But to answer your question, how do I really see myself using that in contribution to the community?
Yeah,
it's very simple to me, in a sense that I love speaking with people one-on-one, and I love being within groups. Yeah. And I will not be afraid to call out when I know that someone is obviously coming from a flawed perspective.
Yeah.
If they're not considering all aspects, or if they're only speaking from a place of trauma per se, right? Yeah. Know thyself and you will know others. I've always thought it's as simple as that ever since I've gotten to know myself. But the real thing that's going to help propel people is someone being real with them. Someone not sugarcoating what they're feeling inside, reconciling it with them, and saying, hey, this is only going to bring you negative results. Even if it's just a couple words in their sentences, you can see that it comes from a place of self-judgment or of judgment upon the world. Yeah. And I'm a very observant person. My whole goal is to pick out those little things that might just cause for the highest increment of actual change in their life.
Yeah.
So not even necessarily, I'll come to me and I'll be your therapist. No. Let's talk about life, the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get you to accept where you're at.
Yeah.
So we can genuinely help each other grow. If you don't accept where you're at, you will never grow. And all the growth that you have done will be based in falsehood. And you're still trying to yearn back to that one thing that you really wanted the whole time, was to feel okay. So, in that, no one feels confident exerting themselves in business, in career, in social life, anywhere, if they don't feel okay with themselves. And the only time they do is when they go home and have those rapid thoughts about, oh my God, they did this right, they did that right, blah, 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 blah. They restart the same process over and over again, convincing themselves that they're okay with themselves, going into work.
Yeah.
And then getting into the deepest, darkest rabbit hole of their brain possible afterwards because they are self-conscious. I want to break that negative aspect of self-consciousness, and I want to help people do it so they can genuinely feel confident enough to display themselves in the social dominance hierarchy of man. Because even though I do talk about these things that might seem vulnerable and deep whatsoever, do you see me having any lack of confidence displaying myself as a man?
No, not at all.
I want to help people get to that point.
Yeah.
Understanding that it is okay to talk about these things. And you can still be the man who you wish to be. Yes, we can still be the pillar. Yes, we can still be that rock that our wives' waves of emotion crash into. but you're never going to be able to genuinely be a solid individual without consciously mitigating the things that are holding you back from the man who you really want to be.
Yeah.
We need to acknowledge that together.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely what I can contribute. The fact that I'm even considered a founder of this, that will give me credibility in some way, shape, or form to let people know that, yeah, you can text me, you can talk to me. I want more people like that in the community in general. That's Absolutely. The whole reason we're founding it. But the fact that I can even be one, to give myself a acts of service to the world, the blessing. That's definitely the main proponent of what I want to give, especially given the purpose and all the obstacles I had to overcome to exert myself now.
Yeah.
I've had those experiences at a young age, and I can help people overcome and stop themselves from even having to go through that deep of a rabbit hole.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that within proximal development, even though we like to keep this professionally oriented, they're not going to feel okay expressing themselves professionally if they don't get real with somebody and reconcile what's holding them back from exactly that goal.
Perhaps, yeah.
And perhaps we can have certain calls not based in the ideas I have, rather based in a lot more professionally oriented ones, rather based in the ones that when we bring on mentors, they're spitting the most game, right? Yeah. When we have the open discourse and dialogue, they're more being the ones being asked about what helped them overcome certain things, right?
Yeah.
But I still want to be that person who observed the entire thing, and then anybody has questions about it later, I'm able to depict exactly what the man said and help incorporate it for what it really truly meant. And I think everything that I've been taking on in my life as of recent is just it genuinely proves that I am one of those people that people can come up to and seek that guidance from.
Yeah.
I'm a volunteer fireman currently looking to join the academy. Wow. I'm creating a company based in the development of others. While I work a 9 to 5, yeah, of course that might have batted eyes in some people's minds, but regardless, I'm 18. I'm taking on these things.
Yeah.
I don't yearn for influence and credibility to control the world. No. I yearn for influence and credibility because I know I have a light to shine onto people.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think you've overcome things pretty early on, so that puts you in a really good position to, especially. First of all, dude, I trust your intentions, and this your story, bro, paints a clear picture in my head of who where you come from and what you intend to do with the community. Absolutely. Even there's people who are way ahead in their lives, right? And obviously, you may not be ahead of your life financially, maybe in the practical endeavors, but I know that, for example, I think I could have made a lot of money by now if I had decided to do some other things. I know that because I'm someone who's very, very driven. There's no way, nothing stops me. But what does stop me sometimes, or what slows me down currently in the moment, is some of the criteria that I have to meet along the way, because that's gonna, at the end of the day, that's gonna have the most impactful thing for myself. It's gonna be most impactful for myself and for others. And I'm not someone who can go to sleep knowing that I just, got wealthy or whatever, did something and propped myself up with the wrong intentions, right? So good that you realize that at a young age, or that realize it within yourself, huh? Because I know right now, you may not be doing, you may not be too accomplished, right? And can you go ahead and elaborate like what you do right now? Because obviously, what you're doing right now, dude, is just like, I want you to recognize that it's not gonna be like that for long in terms of like some of the jobs you have to do and that sort of thing.
Oh, bro. I'm doing at least 20,000 steps a day landscaping and lawn mowing, bro.
It's tough stuff, bro.
Edging, weeding in people's houses.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out in the hot sun all day working for people who don't even give a shit about my existence.
Yeah.
That is really the only thing I'm trying to steer away from as soon as I can. Other than that, I'm in love with the fireman stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to teach me so much and just practical ways of saving people in life, because I have to go through EMS training to get there, right? Yeah. So within that, if a construction worker falls off that light pole right there and nobody knows how to perform CPR on them, I might just be the person who does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many different areas and endeavors in the world that you can end up helping people with, and it's such a noble position to be in regardless. But that's definitely part of the entire aspect of the career that I want to pursue.
Yep.
But there ain't really much to say about the 9 to 5 that I'm working right now, man. The whole entire goal is to leave it.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And you know, obviously, it's just a step amongst the way, and we have to acknowledge that. But
For a while, I wasn't even making any money.
Yeah.
Until like maybe 3 months ago. So I was completely broke, stagnant, $500 saved up, afraid to lose that.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's good. It's good now that you realize one, you know, have recognized the importance of you know, that your actions have to come from a good place, and even the actions that we take to support ourselves financially, which are, you know, in some way, I think finances is what reinforces what we practice to some extent. The job that you'll do, you'll get really good at, but like, is it something that you want to get good at? And so, you know, me,
yeah, like I'm crazy with that edger, bro. But do I want to be crazy with that edger?
Is that a skill that you want?
No.
Like the thing is aligning ourselves with what we can really provide, and I think that if you've been able to at such a young age, right, relatively speaking, make those discernments, understand, you know, how open you are to the transformation that you've had and the realization that you've had and the importance that you understand about, you know, coming from the right place essentially, and your effort to come from the right place, which most people will never do. And so most people will end up doing things, and perhaps even in pursuit of money, in pursuit of success, and they won't even realize. But later on, they'll be like, "Whoa, I really didn't do the right thing. It's just like just to satisfy my financial desires. Like this just didn't make me the right path." But yeah, I'm really stringent on that as well. I've done a lot of things to try to make money, and I could have probably stuck to something and made a lot of money with it, without a doubt.
And a lot of it probably just came from your intentions of wanting money, not coming from a full place of what can I do to help the world.
Yeah.
The first business I ever created was a soft washing business. You think I really wanted to go around washing the sides of people's houses and their roofs off? I don't care about your roof. I don't care about the side of your building. I care to your state of mind. I care to see where you are in this world.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad I didn't end up going completely full throttle with that, even though I invested about like $2,000 in total.
Oh, really?
Wow. Oh, yeah. This was senior year, high school. Yeah, that's probably something I haven't even touched on with you. I had a business partner, and we thought we wanted to help the world. We thought when we got this money, we were gonna, do our best with it. But at the end of the day, the only ethical way to really sell anything or receive that money is coming from your experience and something that you know is genuinely going to help somebody.
Yeah. And, you know, understanding that and understanding the foundation which you're building actions, even the actions that you do to support yourself financially, which nowadays, unfortunately, is much harder than it was before. But even understanding where they come from fundamentally, foundationally, is so important. And so I can trust you, and especially because it's such something that you're so aware of within yourself that it's something that can also benefit greatly other people, because it's a lot of the people are probably going to come into the community not even knowing how to align themselves, because this is something that's absolutely important too. I think in this situation we share a very similar experience. I've started many businesses